what is your own reason of resonating with this practice? Do you see something that you're tying your knot with as a woman? Um, is there something beyond the lines or in between the lines?
I don't know. It's not about residue. It's just that it makes me sometimes it made me furious when we put a woman on certain strata. Like why you are just putting us on a that that Barbie doll kind of concept. Like yeah, you have to look pretty. Now I think I have become a more responsible in painting things and understanding things. I have started taking it in a more serious level. That where this things are going. It's just not about the beautification or thing. There are a lot of many stereotypes which are existing in society, and each and every day you're facing it, you're seeing it in your areas, in your around. So yeah, now it has become more responsible for me.
Welcome to the podcast, Pallavi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy, in a happy mood.
Ah, that is amazing. That's a plus one already.
Yeah, because I was working on a piece and I'm able to figure out, like I was stuck for some time,
Oh, that
and
moment.
yeah, so yeah, today I'm quite like yeah, in a relaxed mood and a happy mood. At least I'm able to figure out like where I am right now in that piece, that particular work. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think so then I got you on a good time. Lucky for me. I'm very excited to have you. Like I just told you, we don't as often have so many, like even though I with my full heart try to bring as many people from other parts and have a very diversified mix. So every time we're bringing a different mix. So we have people from US, we have people from Africa, Southeast Asia, India, all of those parts. So I'm very excited because this is home and you are an artist who works in India. We not only share our country, but we also share our city. You're also based out of New Delhi. And what's particularly interesting is that we both of us have, particularly, I think we started our creative careers, at least entered the market on pretty much the same time. Since then, you've been doing some incredible work. I think your subject matter has always been a subject of intrigue for me, and I'm very interested in learning more about that. But like I said, we've been in the same rooms. I've seen your work and I've seen your journey from where we started. Today you're showing your work at some amazing places. You've evolved so much. Your practice has evolved, and I'm sure there's so much to unpack in that process. So of course we're looking at that. But also, like I said to you, sometimes you know each other. I know your name, I know what you do. We've been in the same room, if not at the same time, but I really don't know you. And this is an attempt in, of course, me learning more about you, and and also sharing that with our audience in that process. So let's begin with you introducing yourself for everyone who's listening. What would you like to say? Who you are, what you do?
Yeah, I'm. You would say that my name is Pallavi Singh, and I am an Indian artist. And so my education in art has been like in India, in Delhi. So I've completed my bachelor's and master's both in like in painting from College of Art, Delhi, and in 2011 I completed my master's. And from there onwards, the journey started into the real world of art, because college is kind of like a very safe zone for you, and you just don't, you have to make art and just that. But the survival and other things, the competitions, the many things, you never like, you don't even think about that much till you enter the real place.
I'm very interested in talking about this because I think so far we are both on the same tangent. I've had people from, of course, India, but I think I've never been on either. We've always been on different stages, and I have had my own experience, and I'm excited to hear. I don't know. I want to see how your experience has been. What is your lens if you're coming from the same time? Um, how much commonality do we have in our experiences? And probably it'll also give you viewers a more holistic approach. Different perspectives, different stories.
Yeah, it does. I hope it does.
I know it'll. So you came out 2000.
Yeah, 11. So I was out, and yeah, so during that time period, yeah, I was lucky. So my first experience was in the coach. I was lucky to make it to Pierce in 2011. And yes, and that was, I was lucky. I was very happy. Yes, I cracked coach. peers residency, but that was a big blow on my face also because because you know, for like what you're like, for 4 years is your bachelor's and 2 years is your master's, so like total 6 years. It's like, okay, you're
You're
making
in a
art, but
bubble.
then yeah, you're in a bubble, you're making art, you are thinking, but might be you're not thinking on those tangents, on lines. Sometimes it's like, okay, you're just making art, you're happy about it, doing it. But when I came to, like, when I did the coach thing, yeah, it was a, like a serious thing you're doing. You're not you're not making. And yes, and I realized lot many things, because for the first time, I think I was facing the questions which was like, which I know it existed, but I never paid so attention to it. So
What
yeah, it
what
was,
were those questions like? What
see, it was a very simple. It's like, why you're doing this, why you're only interested in doing this, these are the very basic questions. But we, because as an artist we love doing some things, we don't actually dwell into those questions. Yeah, like, why particularly this, not that, why you're so much interested, what will happen if you do this and if you don't do that. So those were some of the questions, and I was like, totally, why they're asking me? I just like doing this. This is what something I'm seeing and I'm making it. I, and I was like, totally, you can say, naive person, but yeah. But actually that experience, yeah, it grilled me, but it actually taught me a lot to face the whole, you know, how to face this whole art world or things. And of course, to think more about my own practice, that why I'm doing this. The question was why I'm doing this. Was like, the seriously, I took that one in a. But yeah, but I would say, as a team, they were like very supportive, and they really helped me out in, clearing my thoughts, and just helping me to understand more. Like, yeah, I was very nervous during that. I think it's 1.5 month resident, 2 months residency. I was nervous.
which residency was this?
So it was coach peers. So it is basically for the fresh out, postgraduate students. Yeah,
And where was this?
it was in Delhi. It was a coach artist association in Kidki in Saket. You remember? It's just opposite to the, yeah.
I didn't come from Delhi. I didn't come from Delhi at that point, so probably I wouldn't have heard about it.
Okay, so it's an international association, and so they have this one residency which is for the young artists who are recently passed out from the just their post graduation or graduation, and they have this very
Oh, you're
competitive.
talking about coach. And I'm listening coach, and I'm like, I don't know who's coach, who coach is. Oh, coach. Yes, yes, of course. Coach does some incredible work. Yeah. Oh,
So that was like my first experience and first blow together, and yeah, it made me like, yeah, I need to, like, tighten my belt.
that was still a lot more local, a lot more still home-like because it's still
It
you're in the same.
actually, it was a home line because it was in Delhi, but I till that time I had no experience of, like, but we have to stay at their place, whatever the place they have to. And then it's like five. I think they usually take 5 artists, because in my time it was 5 artists, one curator, and living together. And for
Yeah, that was a
24,
different experience.
yeah, and for 24
Yeah,
hours you are surrounded with questions and many things, and
yeah.
art and art and art and art. So that experience was very different for me. The questions that were coming, it was like whole, your mind is totally on that heated table where you are continuously being grilled and continuously being questioned. And it was a good in sense, because it makes you more aware of your own work, your own practice. But yeah, it was a, for
But it
me, I
also
think.
breaks that bubble for you. Like sometimes I think the more, the sooner the sooner you break that bubble, that, oh, I know everything. Now I've done my MA, I've done my all of everything I think I needed to aspire. And like now I know everything and I'm set, and now people will come to me and you come out of it and I'm like, okay, here it is. Now you tell me, where do you stand? And I think it also helps you work harder. Ask, tell me about something. How was your experience, even in this is a question that we really discuss in different parts of the world, how the education system is. How did you feel being, and now today you show your work, and I know you've been to Vermont, you've been not only in domestically but also done several things and expose yourself in an international market. So if you look at things today, how do you think your experience with Indian art school system was? What did you like, and if you think there was something, did you think something was missing? If so.
See, there were many things which were missing in the Indian art schools, especially in my time. Nowadays, I think the colleges are doing very good job with the kids because they are somewhere preparing them. The opportunities they are receiving when they are doing their graduation or post graduation is way much. In my time, it was not that much. It was literally like, okay, you finish your post graduation, then you start applying for certain grants or and nobody was actually even telling us how to even write a grant letter or a application. So nothing was told to us, so it was almost like a whiteboard for you and you were just figuring out on your own. There were hits and there were trials, misses, and everything was happening. So yeah, but I think the one thing which I think my institution taught me was that to keep on hard working. Yeah, keep on working. Don't just don't get like disappointed from all this thing and stop working. Like sometimes people do. That is good also. It depends upon but what I realized that you, it somehow set the what do you call, the pattern for you. Like yeah, if you're
Yeah,
going
there's a
because
momentum.
yeah, giving you that. So it became a habit of me that I have to sit in a studio, I have to work whether something is happening or not happening, I have to like continuously keep on working. So in that manner, yes, I think it just made me more routine and regime thing it set. And yes, it was, and college was fun for me also because I was meeting people from very different background, very different mindset also. So that was a, and the way people were thinking and creating pieces of work, so that was also very interesting for me to see. Yeah, that was, I would say that what college, the positive thing was about. But yeah, the I would say that the miss, where the I think the misses happened was that it didn't taught us like when you're once out how you're going to face the, face the world or art world, or what are the questions you're going to face, how to write things, yeah, how to even articulate your own work of art, because that was not taught to us. And that was like, I was at that I think that was the one point I was very disappointed because I was observing some of the few artists and they were like so good with it, and I was like, I am making a good piece, but I just don't know. Like, okay, these are the questions, these are the things. Nobody told me to ever do that, and now I'm here, and these questions are coming. I don't know what to do. So yeah, that was something. Yeah, I would like to say it's much better in today's time.
And I think even today's time, I feel like the biggest difference is you're no longer dependent on what you're being taught. Today's time, I think we all can teach so much to ourselves. Like us, I think I teach every other day myself something I've never figured out, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like, just how about we were speaking that if you're interested in something, you can figure it out. It may take a little bit longer, or it may take even way shorter, because you're not wasting your time around things and you're really focused. So yeah, I think in the biggest advantage today is that even if you don't have access to something within your systems, there's everything out there.
True. I totally agree on that point. And plus, I think the opportunities they are receiving, the things, something or the other thing is happening now. So the exposure they are receiving is, I mean, I'm like, why it didn't happen in our time? Why it is happening now? I mean, I always feel that, but then it's okay. It's a time thing, and everyone is doing. It's a long journey.
Yeah, we have all our advantages and timings and disadvantages, learnings. I think we all, if I think, um, I was reading this somewhere and I really like, I was listening to another interview from an artist. I don't remember the source, but this was how he was sharing about how it is important for artists to not get success, because in today's time, what's happening is a lot of young artists are getting so much visibility very instantly. And it is one thing to have that kind of visibility, but there's another thing to get the ball rolling and to sustainability, and then to there's so many things that hardships, and that the early years where you get that time to figure it out, like not only like things but also yourself, and you have a stronger ground and things don't move you as much. But when you get too much um, ice too soon, you don't have a groundwork to rely on because you didn't get the time to get your roots into it. So it's, I think we all have a plus minus. Okay, tell me something then. Um, what was your input and like your perspective when you actually started another? Okay, I have another. I'll ask this. We've had several guests. I myself, my work is from the female case. I am 100% woman who, everything I do is from a woman's perspective. I've not really had a lot of people who, whose subject matter is from the opposite gender, which is the male perspective, or like, with your work, I'm particularly interested in first. Um, I talk about the gender roles. My work is about gender roles, but I think like I reflect it in a very different way versus when you are doing it, it's a very different narrative and a very different experience. A lot of your work is about, men finding their, what do you call it? What is that word? It's go God.
Desire for grooming or
Yes,
beautification.
yes, yes, yes. And you're a female, right? So, how did that come to you? Mm, because it's probably not an experience that you've lived. Uh, it's always easier something that we've experienced, and okay, now we are processing. What got you there, and how is it relate? Like, is it something like a comment or your own relationship with gender roles?
So actually, you know what happened? I tell you incidents in a bits and pieces format. So what happened? Uh, so there was like the people, you can say the men near in my circle. So when they used, so during in 2011, 10, 11, there was a like I think a unisex saloon started booming a lot.
There were a lot of female salons and then there were male salons, but a lot of the unisex salons came in.
Yeah. So I saw them like, okay, they're going, but they're not open about it, or they
Yeah.
even hide uh,
Yeah.
the small receipts and all. So that made me
Yeah,
very curious.
actually, men were very shy about grooming, and they were, oh, are you getting a facial done? Oh, who goes to a spa? Who goes to a parlor? Or who goes? Like, it's for women, and they were very. Of course, this is a gender based, which is not as common today.
So that soft, that idea, that and when you ask them, they were not telling, no, 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 something just went for like this and all. And I was like, okay, but why they are not, why they are not able to say that yes, I went to the saloon for getting this facial done or anything for hair for anything. So that thing really struck me, and I was like, it's very easy to comment on women, or she takes lot of time to get ready, but you if
And men
you
take a lot of pride in being low maintenance. Also vanity. They like women are being shamed for like looks and vanity and having too self-involved, let's say.
Yes. So, and in fact, the reality is that they're also taking equal time. Because I saw people near me like they were combing their hair, they putting the cream. So, if you say it's a very low maintenance form of beautification, but you're doing that, you are taking time. You want to take care of yourself. So that's somewhere, I think that was the point, or that was the incidents that strike me, and I said, I was like, I want to explore this area, I want to start with. So for me it became like a daily observation thing. It's like I'm searching people who are near me, I'm trying to get inspired from their life, and I'm working on this.
Okay, tell me something. One quick question. When you're doing a subject matter as this and making pretty art is always like a easy decision. It's like, okay, yeah, I like this. Like, it's also a very therapeutic process in that sense. Though your work is pretty today, but the subject matter when you're focusing on an uncle pulling his hair or like, but not only about pretty or not pretty aesthetics. subject matter in itself is a very difficult one. And did you have, like, at that point, were you thinking about, oh, is it, did you have any thoughts? Because it's not as common, and probably that is what has also piqued a lot of interest for you. But it's like, did you have your fears that, okay, this could be, how do you validate this thought that this is an idea I want to pursue and it becomes a major part of your life and your work? Or it was like, okay, now I'm intrigued and I'll paint something and okay.
I know it's not common, but it became common for me. Point was so simple that I'm seeing this thing happening like almost like in a 1 week or 2 weeks. So it became a very common thing for me. And people, I think it was a curiosity, like people hiding it made me more interested in doing that. And plus I started, you can say it was a fun, it was enjoyment to see that okay, this is how they are doing things. And then just and seeing the female counterpart doing the same thing. So yeah, it was something which was a very interesting for me to put both the genders on the same platform, but two different set of rules or two different set of comments are being applied to both the. So
And I enjoy this idea of, actually, it's traditionally it's a lot of men commenting on women, putting them under scrutiny and highlighting them, and going under their skin. But also, what fun would that be for a woman to comment on a man, and then put him under a scrutiny? And like, okay, what are you doing? Are you putting that on yourself?
so actually what happened, like, so till that time I was actually somewhere, I was painting it from my observation and things. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm seeing it, and it's just that for me. And women were actually enjoying the work what I was doing, like the people, the female, the visitors who used to come and see. But men
Okay,
were
tell me,
not
who was your
enjoying it.
first? That's pretty obvious. But tell me something. Who was your first muse? Who did you paint first? Because that would be the person who would be like, you know,
I can't name that. I can't name that.
but was that person someone close to you? Does that person know it was him?
Yeah. They are every person who I have like taken as a reference point, or I've started. Everybody knows who I'm painting who. It's just that it's just that because when it comes to the visual play, I take that liberty of using the characteristics. I mean, I just exaggerate them. But yeah, everybody knows who I'm making who.
But tell me something. What was that person's reactions the moment they saw like they were um, under a scrutiny on a subject like this?
Actually, so initially many of them didn't comment in on it. They were like, oh, it's better to just be like, okay, we are not commenting on it. You do whatever you want to do. Yeah. So, but I would say that they were like really impressed by what I was doing. But yeah, they left it. They were like, okay, I don't know what she's doing. Let her do. Yeah, it started like that. Afterwards, I think it became a little interesting, like because. Once you start receiving different verdicts from people, like, oh, some are enjoying it, some are not enjoying it, some are criticizing it also, because many felt like it's a very voyeuristic view also, like you're taking a pleasure in showing that. So there were a lot of many questions which were coming during that time when I was doing all these stuff. And then finally I somewhere came across this term because I was searching a lot, like why is it like metrosexual sexuality was the term that I came across. And I was like, what is this, what does this word mean, because I'm reading it for the first time. What is it? So I searched it on the internet, and I was able to find some of the researchers papers, and I read that it is coined by writer Mark Simpson, and I randomly emailed him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I told him I'm an Indian artist, and this is your theory that you have done during that time. You're saying it in 90s. This word is because it was similar to dandyism. Dandyism is it's after that metrosexuality came. So he was telling during that time in 90s how the British period and England was like, and how Beckman and everyone were like into this and all. I said I'm in India, and I'm seeing this, and like you have, because he was talking about a particular class over there, the high class, because of obvious, if you can afford things, you can do that. But I'm observing in every strata of society, it has break the class over here. It is not something which is just related to the upper class. I see even a very lower income person buying a product called Fair and Handsome and things. Even the rickshaw, they're putting and they're liking, and he was very happy. So he replied me. He in fact sent me more of his theories, more of his books, so to read like what. And I sent some of the my images of my artwork, like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and he said I want to share it on my website, that he has it. You're fine with it? I said yeah, yeah, that is fine. And then yeah, so we had like 2 3 communications through email, like on intervals, because there was something, whenever I was reading something, I used to write him back and tell him, oh, this is my observation, and this is like you did that. So yeah, so from that onwards, like the journey actually started with this term, and then I started exploring more in the Indian mythology, or then with the present day, like the contemporary situation. Because I think after that, by today, it is like very, it has like just bombarded. The market has taken over. So I'm not saying that it was not there in 2011 or 10. It was there, but it was very limited, or it was very under the layer thing. But nowadays, like, yeah, people are too much.
No, even as in, I think the normalization has become too common now. If there's like men hygiene and their skincare, and then I think we've gone beyond gender roles. We've gone about, be it Harry Styles dressing his way, even though he's also been put under scrutiny for a lot of time. But also, like, I think the level of that conversation has changed drastically for sure. But how has you I'm particularly also interested in something like, for me, like, let's say a lot of times, a lot of my experiences, I am the one I need to drive them for, right? Um, when you're const like when you're looking, you're like, I think, how do I say it? Okay, let me reframe this. When you're looking within, as a female, I have to look at my own experiences and then put that forward. And there's another genre where you are looking at someone and you're commenting and pointing that out. How is that experience as an artist? I feel like, what is your creative process? Like, does that differ? Like, I really want to know, because it's not about so much about your own experiences versus so much about their experiences, and what is that right? Am I going in the right
Yeah,
direction?
you are correct. Like I totally agree that it's not something my own personal experience. It is like the
But I've seen you, like,
other.
the mold that you have is a very signature mold that you keep adding. So there's element of you also, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I tend to do that for myself also. I feel like, even though I may not relate to an experience completely, but I feel remotely, but I know I would always put a part of me, because I there's a reason I'm resonating with it. And I
Hmm.
think my question is this, yeah, how what is your own reason of resonating with this practice? Do you see something that you're trying your knot with as a woman? um is there something beyond the lines or in between the lines?
I just don't I don't know. It's not what resonates. It's just that it makes me sometimes it made me furious when we put a woman on certain strata. Like these are the things that woman has. For example, like you said, the mole thing. I think I remember somebody. So I do get sometimes hair on my mole, and somebody commented. I said you would never comment somebody who has a mustache or something is like that, or even the body hair thing. You would not say men to remove it, but because it's a female. So these things sometimes I get furious, and I'm like, why you are just putting us on a that that Barbie doll kind of concept? Like, yeah, you have to look pretty. This. So I think
And
yeah.
even not that, I feel like, while I was growing up, and I have like a mole here, and it's this mole is generally called the beauty spot. And my father, I remember growing up, he was very concerned that he has, like, I have a big mole here, and he would be like, once you grow up, I'll get this surgery cosmetically removed and something. For a very long time, to be very honest, while growing up, I was very uncomfortable with this mole because even though people around me really admired it, liked it, whatever, I, as a person, because it was today, honestly, I don't even know it exists. Unless we spoke about it, I really don't know. It's so much part of me that I don't even notice. But at that point, growing up young, where I would constantly at home also listen that he would say, okay, all is good. And I was a slim child, and all of those things, because typical, um women stereotype. And I was like a young, fair, and in India, being a fair skinned is another very big subject matter. So I fit in those obvious matters that I don't. Now he's very concerned about me gaining my weight. But at that point, it was like, okay, you fit all the boxes. I just need to get this mole removed for you. And I was so uncomfortable. And I would really like, and I was young, and I remember that I would try to take my mom's concealer and I'll hide it, and I'll tell her, like, when I would get a photograph clicked, and I would, turn my head here and there, because I just didn't want people to see it. And there came a point where I started to see it from a different lens when I got away from that voice, and I was like, oh wow, I think. And I would, practice. I would just hide my finger, put my finger here, and I'll be like, how do I look with it? And I'll be like, oh, you know what? It's not me. I feel myself when I have it. And this is such a, like, this wouldn't be a particular fact for for a male counterpart, for a
Yeah,
boy.
absolutely. Actually, I never felt embarrassed. I never felt like of hiding it until somebody points it out and says, "Okay." I said, "Yeah, I have it. That's a part of my. I can't just remove it." Plus, I also realized if you see, like you asked me that how do I feel when I paint because the opposite gender, because to paint yourself it's much easier. But when you see history, all the male artists, maximum of male artists have painted female. Nobody goes and asks them like how you're projecting. So that was another thing which was working, which was going on in my mind. Why
Did you feel
so
this
much?
surge power? Oh my, like this, yeah, you're flipping the coin, like you're.
Yeah, I was absolutely into that. I thought you never went and asked like these great masters of people why you were painting women. Why didn't you paint yourself? You had the mirror at that time. Why didn't you do that? But yeah, because you have to. And plus the idea of being that woman's body is associated with sensuality, sexuality, and so much soft. You can put the male person in that category. You don't have to be like these I feel like somewhere is dividing the gender, and that's how society unknowingly is taking all these and putting it into the categories and fitting us, and say I don't want to be put into that category. See, your own desire is one thing, that you want to look that way, but society desire or desire by other corporate spectacle, that is not what I agree with somewhere. So yeah, my idea was to like, let's flip everything and let's do this. And yes, and this is not something I'm painting like a fantasy or something. It's a for me it's a very realistic thing. It's happening near in my own area.
After so many years, when there's a lot of progress that has happened, are they still, how do you find, like, I'm sure now they've become a lot, your own muses. I'm sure you might have, we have all, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers, friends all around us. And I'm sure there, when you started, their comfort levels within themselves was very different. But now a lot of that has changed, a lot of normalization has happened. And when we're talking about gender neutral clothes, and, like, like also expressive clothing, and all of these identities, um, do you how has that shifted your perspective? How has that shifted your lens? Has that evolved, or is there an addition? And another thing is that, how are you, like, okay, in the beginning when things are strange, it's a lot more fun, but now when it's becoming more normal, how are you finding those little things again?
Actually, you know what? I think, Charuka, it has not that much normal. I still feel if I ever say the names of the even music, they will feel very uncomfortable because I know they won't like it. People don't like it till they're anonymous. Everybody enjoys it. The moment you start, so and they see, now I would say that the initial lens was still, I would say, was when it started was there were many things I didn't discover. I was just doing it. But now I think I've become a more responsible in, painting things and understanding things. I have started taking it in a more serious level, that where things are going, it's just not about the beautification or things. There are a lot of many stereotypes which are existing in society, and each and every day you're facing it, you're seeing it in your areas, in your around. So yeah, now it has become more responsible form of for me.
Okay, that's very interesting, and I'm very interested in. I was very, very particularly interested in knowing this because I think it's not as common, at least for my knowing. Or I think you always discover someone different with a different perspective. It's always interesting to know that what they are thinking from. Okay, let's also come back to your own experience as an artist. What was, do you feel, the hardest thing for you all these years figuring your path as an artist?
I think in the starting, it was the acceptance, the validation. Like, yeah, you're
Yeah, this
doing
is also it. Okay, but also that could be one when you're saying like, are you saying just as like as being an artist?
as being an artist, as what the work I'm doing for that
Both.
also. Yeah, for
Because for
both.
you it had another layer. Because if you're going to, and I'm interested in knowing this because you know, how do I say this in a very polite way for someone who's anyone who's listening? Like, there is once you're making work, and specifically in the commercial manner, let's say, if you're making a subject, there are flowers, and like if it's a aesthetically pleasing sight, and women in general are feminine subjectives, are aesthetically pleasing. Now suddenly you go out and you put your work out there and there's like a man pulling his hair. So what kind of response did you get in the initial uh, time when people were looking at your work? And then there is one part where looking at your work and enjoying it, and then there is one part, okay, like I would like to bring this, I would like to take this. Like, what was your experience with that?
So actually, so when my I think when my work went on display in the initial years, it was it became, actually it was not, I won't say that it was getting a all positive review for it or being positively accepted. There were like, yeah, there was like people who were questioning it, and the side who were accepting it. But the idea was more with the word metrosexuality. People were not comfortable with the word because they were using the sexuality with the sexuality thing instead of understanding. And I was like really, I think I was really irritated with this whole idea because I was explaining but people were not understanding that what I was realizing. So I, like you said, like if you make a flower, you make a thing, you beautify and aesthetically. I actually instead of using the word metrosexuality, I changed it like grooming culture of men in Indian society. Instead of saying using a very hard word, yeah, I changed my style of saying things. And then I also started using history, sorry, mythology as my points to show, picking some of the incidents from mythology while reading it and then putting it into the contemporary life. So that's how I started. I felt like I started doing this. I felt like people also started accepting and becoming, okay, okay, she's using this, oh, it's this, yeah, that, this is how things are. So yeah, that that's how.
Something I've also noticed in your work over the years is that and I feel like I can see more of you also coming into it. um I can see the femininity coming into it. And I didn't see that in the first place, honestly. Like the focus was on the instance that you're talking about. But I think the last few works that I've seen of yours have that feminine aspect that does not look forced. But I can see that your narrative has like you and your narrative probably have unified in a sense, like okay, you've become one, like, and also like bringing those female figures. And like I remember seeing one of your painting where where this woman is caressing a man's hair, and there are flowers, and it's it I can feel a lot more softness and femininity in that sense also now. So do you think has that evolved? Have you started putting yourself more into it?
Yeah, I say I would. You cannot take away artist from his paint. Yeah, so there's always going to be part of me over there when I'm when I'm making a certain piece. I'm thinking about it. I might also enact it like how it is going to be or what is it. So it's almost like the piece is going. It's like a theater. It's like a movie to me. It's a theater piece, and how each and every action. So I'm a director. I am going to like put something. Something is going to come out of me over there.
But also, like, I think there's another thing. I think from what I can look at is sometimes I think we, and I also come from my own, see, looking back at my own experience. Sometimes when you're, dipping in waters, your hands are you're just testing waters, and you're like, you do not want to feel too exposed, too vulnerable, to yourself. Put yourself out there. But once you know, okay, yes, this is, I have full faith in what I'm saying. Or you find that courage, and then you're like, you go all in, and you're like, now let's bring it on. Like let's. Why do I need to comment? I can see those exaggerated scenes now. It's no longer just one. It's like a composition. It's like more complex. Like it's also emotions. Like the other one, I could see the love, but I could also see how, also almost role reversal. Like I could see the femininity in the men, softness in the men versus more in the female. Like I felt like the way a male is getting its hair done, it's like a very female position, and it was a little odd but also very fascinating to look at it, because I was like, oh wow. And also pleasing in the sense of, yes, men also have soft parts. Men are also feminine. They have feminine energy. But I think just the way we've been brought up in a society that only appreciates masculine energy, and I think it's changing now. It's understanding the strengths of who we are.
Yeah, it's definitely changing. That's why I think my men are becoming more feminine because might be I'm meeting people who I see, oh, it's changing and it is coming. Yeah, I absolutely agree on the point you mentioned. Yeah, men have because initially I think I was somewhere trying to prove a point. I wanted to prove a point and I wanted to show, yeah, that no, this is like common to both things. Don't say. But now I'm more like, yeah, it has become more it's not about proving the point now. It is just
Become a
what I'm
friend to that respect also.
yeah.
Because I think there's also empathy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be both in that manner. Yeah, so it's more like it's something, yeah, I'm showing this because this is the reality. I would say in that manner. Yeah, and yeah, might be they. I won't say that it's. I won't like wash it off totally. It's sometimes it's like you're reflecting the society what you're seeing around. So when anybody who sees right now, might be some kind of effect should be on the viewer. Like either it's a kind of a question for them or the acceptance for them. Yeah, it is more like it's not like now to prove a point thing that which was initially it was there. But
I really love how subtle your in the sense, like a man holding a baby versus men and women, a guy and a girl, you know, dressing together. But also, like, I'm just seeing one of your work on Artsy right now, which is Because You're Worth It, and there's this guy who has another guy's picture on the back, and then he has these fancy chappals, and then there's someone putting a mirror, and instantly I can think about, my, let's say, my grandfather, or like anyone from their generation who would like, who would call someone, oh, give me a mirror, let me make my mustache, or let me dress my hair. And it's like so many very, in a sense of empowering narratives also, like where you switch those gender roles and you feel like, oh wow, like also normalizing that, and also
I think if you see the history, if you see history, mythology, anything, it was a normalized thing for me. It yeah, it would.
Indian culture had Maharajas when I do my research. They have like so much jewelry, and then like come from that.
Yeah, so it was a very normal concept. I think it was after the colonization that happened and everything happened, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, we changed, and we had this such a like big divisions of thing.
Even with the kajal, if you see in our culture, even while we grew up, I've seen so many people who would put kajal, and ancestrally, even if you go in rural India today, there are so many people who would, and like men would initially wear so many ornaments, and then the rings, and then the chains, and then I think the whole narrative changed, and then suddenly it didn't become cool, and it became too feminine, and all of the.
And in fact, if you say the coal has its own because it is good for your eye. The idea was like on the medical terms, like you use it, it's very good for your eyes and all. It just brightens up and it keeps your eyes healthy. But all of a sudden, it became more aesthetic, more beauty, more that. So I just felt like, yeah, it existed, and just somewhere putting the history in the present scenario. So it's not something I ever felt that I'm doing out of box. And for me, it was always
Yeah,
a very, very
but
core, very
yes, but
common. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, men putting henna on their hand culturally. These are all very common things that so many cultures have in India, within like even in Hinduism. And they putting mehndi and like so many things actually. That's
Yeah,
true.
you
And I think
see now, even see if you have seen some of the men's who have men who have put the nail polish in their little
yes,
finger. Yeah,
and
but
have grown nails.
have grown nails. Yeah, and now, but it has become a fashion of putting the nails. So you're becoming feminine. You're this. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and in fact, in some of the marriage culture also, men putting nail polish is there. It still exists if you
yeah. Yeah,
travel
yeah.
a
In
little
India,
bit.
a lot of this, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. In India, a lot of this still occurs, and it still is a part, and it's very normal. Only until it. I think the only thing is, I think with your work, it's so many times we. I think it's also like posturing. Women have been postured in a certain way, and it goes. Men go unnoticed in those, and you know it's just ignored moments, and then suddenly when you see it in a painting and you see in this, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I relate to this. I can any almost any painting that I have seen of yours, I can think of someone, some moment, and like, oh yeah, I saw my father doing this once, I saw my brother doing this one, I saw my partner doing, and this is what me and my partner do. Oh, like, it's not like these are unusual moments, they're very realistic, very everyday moments, but yet they've been tagged in a certain way, and they're yet the masculine energy is a certain way. So there's a facade that I think that's also unveiling itself, like, oh no, it's not as what we think and what we're seeing it about.
Actually, idea was somewhere to put a very basic thing in front of the public, so
Yeah,
that they can
you're doing
relate
that.
with the, yeah, they can relate with the whole picture, but they can also think about it, because it's like stealing a moment from everyone's life and putting it there. So yeah, somewhere I think my aim is to put a very basic setting with very basic activity which everybody is aware of, but just with a twist.
God, so thank you so much, Pallavi. I had a fantastic, I think this is a conversation we've not had on the podcast in all these episodes, 150 plus, but it was so nice to speak to you, truly.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
It was one of the most most fun conversations on a subject matter.
I hope it was.
No,
No.
okay. Before I let you go, what are you working on? What are any new project? Anything looking forward to, that you want to share with us?
I am working on something, but right now I won't reveal it. So it's in the it's in the process. But yeah, soon you will get to know about.
You just let us know. So, okay, anyone who's listening to this, where can they find you, support you, look at your work? Please take the stage and let people know.
So I'm a represented artist of Art Heritage Gallery. So you can always look to their website. They have my work. You can look my work on Artsy. You can look my work on my Instagram, plus my website, which is pallavisingh.art.com. And yes, these are the places you can always look at me and see what is happening and what is going to be.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who's joined us. And I really highly recommend that you look at Pallavi's work. And uh, just quickly, as after you finish this episode, go to our website, and there's a beautiful, beautiful um, editorial on Pallavi's work. We've included some amazing images and a lot of work that I have seen and Pallavi spoken about. And tell us if you resonated. And I think I'm particularly also interested from people listening, from people who are listening to this podcast, because I know our listeners come from all parts of the world, and we've spoken a lot about Indian context, that how men behave, and patriarchy and misogyny, and like this, and also having fun with it. And it's not as like something, I think these subjects, it's beautiful to have these conversations in a very light and organic manner. So I would, we'd really enjoy to hear if in what happens in your part of the world, and um share with us if you resonated, if you have a story to tell, and make sure you tag us and you tell us what it is. And if you like this conversation, hope make sure you tune in for next week's. And thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Pallavi, and I appreciate everybody who joined us.
Thank you.